On December 5, 1945, a Navy pilot named Charles Taylor took off from the Naval Air Station in late afternoon. The flight was routine, part of a training exercise that had been planned weeks in advance. But within minutes of takeoff, everything went terribly wrong. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our awesome videos. The problem started when Taylor and his radio operator, Howard Youngblood, were vectored onto the wrong course by a faulty radar system. They were supposed to be flying 25 miles north of Oahu, but because of the miscalculation, they ended up much closer to the coast. At some point, Taylor realized what had happened and tried to correct the plane's heading. But by then, they were already over enemy territory. At 3:58 p.m., as the plane flew over the Pacific, 60 miles northwest of Honolulu, it exploded in midair. All 21 people aboard Flight 19 were killed instantly. Or were they? A survivor of Flight 19 later claimed that only 5 people died in the initial explosion, but the remaining 16 lived for hours afterward. What really happened to Flight 19? Was it a training exercise gone wrong, a case of friendly fire, or something more sinister? This is one of many unsolved mysteries surrounding the disappearance of Flight 19. What we do know is that the Navy tried to cover up what happened to the plane. For starters, they destroyed the plane's flight data before the families of the victims could retrieve it. And they also refused to release the autopsy reports, which claimed that all 21 people aboard the plane died from a sudden decompression, not a mid-air explosion. It wasn't until years later that one of the Navy's official cover stories began to unravel. In 1965, a man named Robert W. Love Jr. came forward with a story that would shock the world. Love was a radio operator who worked at the Naval Air Station on the day of the incident. He claimed that he received a coded message from Flight 19 just moments before it disappeared. The message was garbled and hard to understand, but Love was able to make out 3 words: fast approaching, followed by the letters SOS. So, what does this mean? Was there an intruder in the cockpit of Flight 19? Did the pilot somehow trigger the explosion accidentally? Or was this a case of sabotage? Unfortunately, we may never know what really happened to Flight 19. The Navy has released hundreds of pages of documents related to the incident, but they've done a good job of keeping most of the evidence under wraps. Still, it's clear that something went terribly wrong that day, and the cover-up only makes us wonder what they're trying to hide. Now, it's time to hear from you. What do you think happened to Flight 19? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an upload.